you going? It's Burjo here. Just hope you've had a really good week this week, despite everything that's going on. Hopefully you're not too isolated at home by yourself. Hopefully school's still open and you can see your mates. I've been cooped up in the house for a couple of days, so I'm just getting out and getting some air. This week at youth group, we're doing a whole bunch of cool stuff. We aren't back in our groups quite yet. We're still trying to work out how we can meet up online and chat and interact. But we've got Hannah doing talk. DK's got spotlight for us. We've got some other videos from the youth leaders. If you want to get back to us with any videos or anything like that, feel free. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to talk to us on Instagram, you can follow LCM Youth. Yeah, looking forward to this week, and we hope to see you really soon. Bye.
Hey fam, Eliza here. I'm currently procrastinating from a uni assignment and drinking coffee. Oh, I'm gonna put this here. That makes everything a lot easier. I hope you're having a good week. It is very weird, everything's very quiet, everything's cancelled, and no doubt you are stuck at home like me. I've spent a lot of time here. This is my desk. I've been trying to do uni work, but also trying to exercise and hang out with my family and not go too insane. But I am also keen to figure out how I can use all of this newfound spare time really intentionally, and I encourage you to do the same. Yes, we have all of our schoolwork to do, but you can go for a walk, learn a new skill, catch up with your friends on Zoom, and also really invest time in your relationship with God. This morning I caught up with Megan on Zoom and we read the Bible together. We read the start of Matthew 24. This is a really intense passage, but it was an awesome reminder that no matter what is going on in the world, God is still in control and Jesus is still coming back. He's going to come back one day. And I think knowing this and being reminded of this really helps us to keep trusting in Jesus and standing firm in him during this crazy coronavirus situation. So I hope you have a good rest of the week, and I'm keen to keep seeing you guys on online youth group. Woo! See ya.
It's me. I work from home at the moment because it's COVID time. As you can see, my room is quite small and I've been here pretty much for the majority of the last day and a half. And luckily I have the NBN, so it's nice. I just wanted to share one little thing that I noticed was that it's pretty easy to get low energy when you don't see the people you normally do during the week. So I reckon it's a really good idea to reach out to the people you normally would see at school or at training or whatever. To say, hey, how you going? Could be silly with a TikTok or just reach out, ask them a question. But well, that's a really good way to keep community, particularly with youth group. Let's keep being God's people together, even if we can't touch each other through the interwebs. See you guys.
Hi, this is Jess and welcome to my COVID-19 vlog. No, I'm kidding. Hey everyone, it's Jess. I'm really excited to be here on online youth group. It's been really sad not getting to hang out and see each other at normal at church, but I'm really excited to catch up and to share how our weeks have been going and to hear from the Bible together today. I know this week's been all sorts of crazy for you guys, and it has been for me too. And so, yeah, hopefully hearing from God and setting our minds on Him will be really helpful for us all. Today I was reading from the Bible in 1 Corinthians, and it talks about how our God is faithful and that for those who believe in Him, He's going to keep us and carry us with Him until the day Jesus returns. And I just found that so comforting because no matter what crazy stuff is going on this earth, like COVID-19 and the uncertainty of what's going to happen with school and just our lives, we know that we have a hope in Christ that is far greater and bigger than what's going on right now, and we can trust in that and we can trust God. And so that brought me lots of comfort today, and I hope that brings you guys some comfort too. Yeah.
Hi everyone, this is Laura coming to you from my bedroom where I've been working from home, and I thought I'd just share something from James chapter 4 verse 6, which is, God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. And I think a moment like this where people are feeling really anxious actually is an opportunity for God to break down pride and to break down the sense that we're in control of our own lives and destinies, because the truth is, like, virus or not, we don't know what's going to happen in a year. I don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. I don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. And it's such an opportunity for me to really grow in my dependence on God and my trust in His goodness. It's also an opportunity for other people who might be more open to hearing about that, when they might not be in a time when things are just going normally and fine for them. So something I've been doing is trying to reach out to friends, just checking in on how they're going, and also praying for opportunities to share the hope that I have in a God who is sovereign and in control. That's all. See you.
Hey guys, hope you're all feeling alright even though things are a little bit chaotic at the moment. I'm just chilling at home today, trying to get over a cold and trying to organise for some of my flute teaching to move to online lessons, which is going to be weird, but that's alright. Yeah, I think we're all getting used to a lot of change at the moment, but we will get through it. One thing that this virus and everything that goes with it has been reminding me is that we can't control our circumstances, and yeah, things can change in ways we would never expect, but at the same time, God doesn't change. His love for us, His children, doesn't change. His promises that He makes to us don't change, and we have a sure and certain hope in our future with Him. I've been reading Leviticus and Hebrews today, yeah, reminded me of that even more. In chapter 6, it talks about how, yeah, God wanted to make His people so sure of all His promises and the fact that He's going to deliver on them. Yeah, God is good and we can trust Him in this time, and that's really awesome news, so keep trusting Him.
As you may be able to tell by the beard and the hair, today is day 4 of being really only at home. My week has looked really different as I've basically been here listening to Julia, my wife, give science lessons from the living room. So I've definitely been learning new things along the way too, which has been fantastic. It has definitely been social distancing, but maybe more of a physical distance, as I've had a great chance to catch up with friends online, and probably more than I usually have as well, so that's been really good. Doing things like Minecraft realms and Netflix watch parties, because I do not hide the fact that I'm a bit of a nerd. I've also been listening a lot to Spotify, in particular to City of Light today, which is one of the bands who usually plays at Kick. It's been great to be able to have a bit of a Kick experience here at home. It's really interesting when you combine that with what we've been looking at church on Sunday. So I've been reading through Colossians 3 today, which is kind of what we've been speaking about at church. And I've been really confronted by the fact that that passage tells us to focus on the heavenly things and how hard and how difficult it is to do that when the world around us is so broken. So I'm really thinking through about how can I be helping the world that's around me, but really encouraged by the fact of being reminded that God is in authority over the whole earth and us. So if you're looking for a good reminder of that, read Colossians 3, like the first 10 verses, and hopefully you get something out of that as well.
Hey guys, hope that you're doing well. I am just sitting in my super cozy comfy reading chair after looking forward to the end of the week, to be honest. It's been very strange with all the isolation rules. I've gone from doing something 5 to 6 nights of a week to basically nothing, which has been tough. But I'm very lucky to have my family around me, as well as my pets who are always looking for cuddles. When I recorded my talk, you'll probably be able to hear my cat in the background being cheeky towards the end of the video. But yeah, I hope that you guys are doing well and staying in contact with people. Some new things I've been up to this week is I'm having lunch video chats with friends, separating the day a little bit and still getting to socialize a little bit. It's a nice mental refresher. I highly recommend it. And before I go to bed every night, I have been working my way through the New Testament. I'm currently just about to finish Book of Mark. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys have been up to and how you've been doing. And if you guys need anything, just let me know.
Alright, so we're going to try this a different way. Hopefully you can yell loud enough that even though this has been recorded before it's actually happening, I'll just randomly hear you in the night. Spotlight!
Alright,
Spotlight!
alright,
Spotlight!
alright.
Alright, I'm going to assume that was you, not Burjo. Now, with Spotlight,
Alright.
thank you. So, today, what I want to show you is memes. Which, you know, it might seem a bit odd. It's like, oh, but like, are there Christian memes? I'm like, yes, there is. There's a whole world out there for you to discover. So I thought I would just start with, you know, pretty tame, not necessarily specifically Christian meme, just appealing to toilet humor and music fans. And that will come up on the screen now, somewhere. I don't know where it's going to be though. I'm just going to give you a moment to enjoy that. Now, if you are a little bit confused, this is a reference to Bon Jovi's Living on a Prayer. It's just a toilet paper. So, the reason I'm talking about memes today is because, like, look, I really enjoy memes, right? When I'm sitting on the toilet, I'm sitting on memes, or scrolling through memes. When I have a free bit of time in the day and I just kind of like want to unwind and relax and just have some fun, scroll through memes. If I meet new people, you know, these days, instead of saying, hi, how are you? I'll go, hey, have you seen this meme? And just shove my phone in their face. But is it all good? That's the question. Because, you know, 100%, they're fun, they can get points across, it's just a nice way to communicate sometimes, not be so formal about things, but with anything in life, you know, too much of a good thing can be bad. And so I just wanted to show you some Christian memes, because I'm betting that some of you didn't know there was such a thing as Christian memes. So, let's start with Jack Black, because who doesn't love Jack Black? However, I feel like we can all appreciate this if you've ever been to a church, of just having a word thrown at you and you have no idea. But everyone around you is going like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you're just sat there like, I don't know what you're talking about. First time I experienced that was with the word Pentecostal. You know? Everyone was like, oh yeah, that's good. And I'm just like, yeah, cool. I've totally heard that word before. And the next one is for all you teenagers out there considering dating. And I thought, well, why not have Thor help you out with that? Strong words. Now to get a little bit more serious, here's one that I saw. And look, I will fully admit, when I first saw this, I had a good giggle. But just with what it says there, it references 2 Corinthians 13:11, and it says, finally, brothers, aim for perfection. But in reality, I just wanted to read what the verse actually is, because it says, finally, brothers, rejoice, aim for restoration, comfort one another, agree with one another, live in peace, and the God of love and peace will be with you. All right, now just for a bit of context, that was from Paul, and he's writing to the Corinthians, the church in Corinth, I should say. And it's all about, like, you guys got to stick together, right? It's meant to be like a very uplifting message. Whereas in this meme, it's become a message to men to be very careful about how they urinate in the public bathroom, right? Now again, I fully admit, I had a good giggle when I read this, but then you stop and you think about it for even a few minutes, and you wonder, is it okay that something that is meant to be so uplifting and serious in the Bible is now being used for toilet humor, right? So, what I want you to consider going forward is, look, there is a line, and when you look at certain memes, you just gotta ask yourself, look, is this crossing the line? Is this, in a way, dishonoring God, like essentially talking smack about him, when, if you're a Christian, he's meant to be such a big deal in your life? Yes, that is Spotlight for today.
Hey everyone, the passage we're going to be looking at tonight is Hebrews chapter 11. So if you want to grab your Bibles, or otherwise the text is going to come up on the screen. We're going to read through chapter 11 together. We're not going to read through all of it, but we're going to skip a little bit as we go. So let's read Hebrews chapter 11. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. This is what the ancients were commended for. By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. By faith Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear built an ark to save his family. By his faith he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness that is in keeping with faith. By faith Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going. By faith he made his home in the promised land like a stranger in a foreign country. He lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. And by faith even Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was enabled to bear children because she considered him faithful who had made the promise. And so from this one man, and he as good as dead, came descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as countless as the sand on the seashore. All these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth. People who say such things show that they are looking for a country of their own. If they had been thinking of a country they had left, they would have had opportunity to return. Instead, they were longing for a better country, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. By faith, Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had embraced the promises was about to sacrifice his one and only son, even though God had said to him, "It is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned." Abraham reasoned that God could even raise the dead, and so, in a manner of speaking, he did receive Isaac back from death. Now jump forward to verse 23. By faith Moses' parents hid him for 3 weeks after he was born, because they saw he was no ordinary child, and they were not afraid of the king's edict. By faith Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to be mistreated along with the people of God, rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. By faith he left Egypt, not fearing the king's anger. He persevered because he saw him who is invisible. By faith he kept the Passover and the application of blood, so that the destroyer of the firstborn would not touch the firstborn of Israel. And then jump forward to verse 31. By faith the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, was not killed with those who were disobedient. And then jump forward to verse 39. These were all commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised, since God had planned something better for us, so that only together with us would they be made perfect.
Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. Today I'll be talking about Hebrews 11. Let me start by saying that I love heights. I love flying, I love being on top of mountains, I love the views and everything you can just see. Like, it's just gorgeous. I love being in skyscrapers, especially the ones with the glass floors, where you get to look straight down. I totally understand how some people hate it, but I really like it. I don't know what it is about it, but just getting to see out over everything is just, I don't know, it's a great feeling. But there's one thing I can't stand. It's unsecure heights. I am petrified of unsecure heights. you stick me on top of like a rock climbing wall where I'm in a harness, I'm, 60 feet in the air sort of thing, 100 feet in the air, I'm having the best time. But stick me on top of the monkey bars where I could just fall off, and no, I can't do that. Like, can't do like jumping between chairs or climbing down from a tree and stuff. Oh, it freaks me out. And each time I find myself in these situations, it takes me a long time to get back down. I watch other people do it. I see how they're fine, just, hopping off the top of the monkey bars. Logically in my head, I'm running through all the reasons why this is so fine. Like, it's not that far to go. I won't even hurt myself. And if I do somehow mess it up and fall really badly, I'll probably just end up with a bruise. And it doesn't matter that I'm running through all these logical reasons, I'm still scared. Eventually, I have to trust in the facts, and maybe even those around me if there are people to help me out, and just go for it. It's important to note that the faith I've put in myself and others in these situations isn't blind faith. It's faith based on facts, even if it takes me a bit to get there. And I've learned that faith in God is very much like that. But before I get into that, I'll just remind you guys of what we've been looking at this term. We've been looking at a church that's probably largely made up of Jewish Christians, and they're getting a lot of pressure from the outside of the church to stop being Christian. I'm looking at Hebrews 11 today, as I said, where we're going to have a look at three things. How and why did the people of the Old Testament put their faith in God? How can new Christians in Hebrews and we ourselves put our faith in God? And what does this mean for our lives? So, firstly, how and why did the people in the Old Testament put their faith in God? In chapter 11, the author reminds the Hebrews in verses 4 to 34 about the deeds of Abel, Enoch, Noah, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Rahab, Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, and all the prophets under God, and how they acted through faith to accomplish great things. How we also need to have faith in God by remaining steadfast in Him. In verse 7, Noah is the very well-known story of a man who put his whole life on hold and the lives of his family to work on creating a ginormous boat and collecting 2 of all the animals of the world onto it. He had not ever seen such a flood as the one that God told him about, but he believed and did what God said. In verses 8 to 19, Abraham had incredible trials put before him by God, whereas an old man, he was told to go out to a strange place that would become his land, and he'd have a child that would become a nation. He would build not just his family, but would be the father for all children. In verses 24 to 29, Moses is called to leave his role as a child of royalty in one of the greatest empires known, to be treated with the same level of disdain as the Jewish slaves. He was given the incredibly hard task of defying his earthly family and freeing God's people and suffering for it. Something that seemed entirely impossible at the time. And then in verse 31, Rahab was called to shelter the Jewish spies so that they could take the city of Jericho, leading to establishing Israel again. Now, in terms of faith, none of them believed blindly. Noah, Abraham, and Moses were all able to speak basically directly to God, who could instruct them, and they could believe even if the guidance they were given sounded impossible. Rahab saw the power and the might of the Jewish army that had been able to conquer Canaan. She knew God was with them, and she chose to read the evidence there and have faith in Him, despite what it could mean for her if she was found out. But what did the Hebrews, and for that matter, what do we put our faith in? Like I said, the Bible does not encourage us to believe blindly. It encourages us to check our facts and put faith in God through evidence of His power that He has given us. We put our faith in Jesus. We have ample evidence of the existence of Jesus and the resurrection. I can barely begin to list all of the reasons we have such objectively strong belief in the Bible. We have more than 5,700 copies of the New Testament in the original Greek, the oldest manuscript being written about 35 years after the original manuscript. There were historical writings of Jesus that basically undeniably point to the fact that He truly existed. And once you accept the fact that He existed, you have to examine His claims, like His story and the message He was preaching. If any of you haven't read The Case for Christ, it's the true story of a man who is desperate to disprove Christianity. And after a really long, slightly fanatical journey, he realizes he can't disprove it. So he takes the leap and puts his faith in Christ, based on secular evidence. And for the Hebrews, they are receiving the good news of Christ basically straight from the horse's mouth. The author, we believe, was closely linked to the disciples. And if he didn't have direct contact with Jesus himself, then his disciples sure did. It is a very reliable account, the teaching he is giving. The author's word is reliable, and perhaps most importantly for the church in Hebrews, it stacks up against the Old Testament teachings. For people who may have previously been Jews, Jesus' arrival isn't out of the blue. He is the one who's been promised for a long time. He is the Messiah. And so the person claiming to be Messiah needs to stack up about what the prophets said about the coming of the Messiah. We are encouraged to make sure we understand how this stacks up, and make sure what we're taught is true. In 1 Thessalonians 5, verses 20 to 21, it says, "Do not treat prophecies with contempt, but test them all, hold on to what is good." And in John 14, verse 11, Jesus says, "Believe me when I say that I am the Father, and the Father is in me. Or at least believe on the evidence of the works themselves." He was referring to the things that he'd been doing. We are warned repeatedly against the false prophets, false teachers, and false messiahs in Matthew 24, 2 Timothy 4, 2 Peter 2, and much, much more. And to do this requires an understanding of the evidence. We can't say something is right or wrong unless we understand it ourselves. If someone said to you, the only way to heaven is by wearing only the color blue, how could you say whether they were right or wrong if you don't know what is written? We also need to understand in order to explain to other people, sort of thing, both to defend ourselves and to share what we know. 1 Peter 3:15 says, "Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have, but do this with gentleness and respect." And what does this mean for all of us today? Well, with all the evidence out there, there are ample reasons for us to believe in God and what Jesus Christ did for us. Do not sit idly and just believe what people tell you, though. You need to go out and research. If you have people around you that you trust to know well and be theologically sound, ask them questions and then do more research. A good understanding of the Bible is critical. It strengthens our relationship with God and protects you against false teachers, which there are plenty of today, just as there were back in the Apostles' time. We are called to believe and have faith. When we say in 2 Corinthians 5 verse 7, we live by faith, not by sight, we're not saying that we believe blindly without evidence, just without having seen Jesus ourselves. A sentiment Jesus himself repeats in John 20, verse 29. In the beginning of Hebrews 11, it says in verse 1, "Now, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance for what we do not see." We live every day in faith with those around us. Faith that our family loves us. Faith that the chairs we sit in will be able to hold our weight. Faith that we will have something to eat if there is food in the pantry. Like what I have talked about with my fear of unsecure heights, I'll be honest, I'm definitely not the most graceful person. Anyone who has seen me dance can attest to this. I'm still going to do it because it's fun though. But I'm not confident in my ability to not fall when I'm in unsecure heights. But when I have the assurance of safety equipment, and like when I'm rock climbing, or the incredible feats of engineering when I'm in a plane or in a skyscraper, I can enjoy these incredible parts of life that I would be too scared to enjoy otherwise. And faith in God is very much the same. I hope you guys are doing well, and please reach out if you guys ever need anything, even if it's just a talk.